you guys might know about the Progressive Voice. He's a channel that honestly really inspired the Vanguard in that he did a lot of drama videos about different progressive personalities, people like Kyle Kulinski, Jimmy Dore, Sam Cedar, etc., and various beefs, clashes, etc., between these personalities. He doesn't do as much content these days. Seemingly, he'll only upload every month or something like that. But back in the day, back in like 2016,
This is how you know the
2017.
algorithm changed, by the way, guys.
And yeah, the point is though that he was really one of the big progressive YouTubers around like the Bernie era. Did a lot of a lot of drama content about different figures in the progressive news space. Like I said, people such as Sam Cedar and Kyle Kulinski, Jimmy Dore really inspired the Vanguard. We don't hear as much from Sahil these days. He doesn't really post as much. I think he's in college or something like that, pursuing a degree in economics or political science. But every once in a while, you'll still hear from Sahil at the Progressive Voice, whether it's on YouTube, when he'll occasionally drop a video, and also sometimes on Twitter. Recently, he put out a pretty hot take going after Kyle Kulinski, someone who historically Sahil has been quite aligned with politically. I think at one point he even said that he was more aligned with Kyle Kulinski ideologically than anyone else in the space. But that seems to be changing a little bit. Sahil recently did a video saying that he believes secular talk has declined in quality recently and gave some reasons why. But this is a tweet he put out here just a couple days ago, once again going after Kyle Kulinski. He posts a screenshot here of a secular talk clip from the Crystal and Kyle Friends podcast saying progressives seem to have some kind of odd love for Trump against other Republicans. It's so weird, borderline creepy. And post this screenshot, like I said, of the Kyle video. Trump mauls DeSantis again and again, referring to some of Trump's recent, dunks on Ron DeSantis, calling him nicknames, just basically eviscerating him in every possible way, humiliating him over and over again, which I have personally really enjoyed watching. Clearly so has Kyle, but Sahil finds that to be a little bit irresponsible, I suppose. As he says here, this was also the exact kind of coverage that led to Trump winning in 2016, and we're repeating it again. Yeah, it was Kyle Kulinski that led to Trump winning in 2016, and now thanks to Kyle, we're gonna get him again, guys.
Which is hilarious because just to barge right in. One, on its face, you have to admit Donald Trump is fucking hilarious. That's how he became president, and it doesn't do us any goddamn good to be like, listen, guys, you really shouldn't laugh at that thing that was really fucking funny. Okay, let's just pretend it's not funny. It's have to be like, dude, this guy, it doesn't matter that you think it's funny. It doesn't matter that you think he can sling insults. Let's shred him on his record, which Kyle has always done. He's always done that. And he was also one of the few commentators, even in indie media, that was like forcefully being like, you guys, do not underestimate this guy. Do not underestimate this guy against Hillary Clinton. This is not over. This is not over. Hillary Clinton is not well liked in this country. Donald Trump is beloved by his base. Hillary Clinton has no base. She just screwed over all of the Bernie Sanders supporters, right? So kind of got to give him the fact that he kind of called this out already. And then to just go and pearl clutch and be like, oh my God, I can't believe that you're not only talking about what a vile threat is. Like, who isn't? Who isn't a vile threat in the Republican Party? What, are you telling me that Ted Cruz would somehow be better? Marco Rubio would somehow be better? Chris Christie, Ron DeSantis? Like, who? Who isn't a vile fucking villain in the Republican Party at this point? Let's be honest with ourselves. Who is a good and rational guy? Oh, let's get Jeb Bush up there and give him a round of applause. Get fucked. It's never going to happen. And even if it did, Jeb Bush was responsible for all kinds of corruption. Let's not forget what family he's from. So I'm trying to think of who even is like somehow like, the reasonable, moderate, like not bad Republican. At that point, you would just have to go with Joe Manchin or something.
Tim Scott.
Yeah, Jim Scott, exactly, right?
Anyway, I thought this tweet was pretty dumb, to be honest. And yeah, it's pretty clear why not just progressives, but anyone on the left likes to watch Trump go after other Republicans. It's because we understand, for one, that this sort of ugly infighting within the right wing, within the Republican Party, only helps us. If the right wingers eat each other and Ron DeSantis kind of takes out, or Trump takes out Ron DeSantis, then that's better for everyone. Right wing infighting is great. The more that these people turn on each other instead of uniting behind what their common values are, that's the better off for us, because it means that it's less likely that their insidious agenda actually gets passed. If you think about it, Ron DeSantis, just like 6 months ago, was this beloved rising star in the Republican Party. But thanks to the fact that he decided to challenge Trump in the presidential primary, Trump has been ripping him to shreds. And now he doesn't really seem like this ascendant rising star who's beloved by the entire base. No, a lot of the base has really soured on Ron DeSantis because of the fact, again, that he's challenging Trump, and the Republican Party is a cult of personality around Donald Trump, more so than it even is really an ideological project at this point, in my opinion, at least on the presidential level. So again, I think if you're really concerned about the insidious agenda of Ron DeSantis or of Donald Trump being passed, then you should look at the infighting as a good thing. And it's not just normal presidential primary infighting. No, it's far uglier. And that's why Kyle thinks it's so funny. We have Trump once again just going right in the gutter in a way that no other politician does, just getting really personal, calling DeSantis a groomer, making up really, really insulting nicknames like Meatball Ron and Pudding Ron. I mean, this is glorious stuff. And again, it's funny because it couldn't be happening to a worse person. Ron DeSantis fucking sucks, and it's awesome to see him get embarrassed. It's awesome to see him get humiliated, and it doesn't really matter who's doing it, in my opinion, if the end result is his popularity declining, his popularity waning, and a lack of Republican unity, which actually might lead to their insidious agenda getting passed. Nothing would strengthen the Republican Party agenda more than for Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis to unite, to put their differences aside and say, regardless of who wins this competition, I'm going to support you and we're going to get this agenda passed as a movement. That kind of solidarity would actually mean that their agenda had a better chance of getting passed. As a result, because of this infighting and because of the fact that Trump and Trump's followers care more about that cult of personality than they actually do about any policy.
Just to fortify your argument really quickly, guys, just remember back in during his actual presidency back in 2017, the repeal and the replace of Obamacare, Trump's pettiness and his vitriol stood in the way of him passing what should have been an easy accomplishment of repealing Obamacare. One of the things he actually literally campaigned on that was actually like a conservative, policy. It was a terrible idea, of course, but because he was so hateful and vitriolic towards John McCain, and he had that notorious moment where he was like, he got caught. I like the ones that don't get caught.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So McCain was like, fuck you. And he voted against him just to spite him. And then he fucking died.
Yep. The only good thing that bastard ever fucking did.
Straight up, dude.
Also, shout out to Tyler, our listener, who also commented on Sahil's post saying, IMO, he is funny, even though he's an objectively horrible person. Of course he's objectively horrible. But yeah, I think that Zach's 100% right and Tyler's 100% right, that we can't just put our head in the sands and pretend like this guy doesn't have a serious appeal, a serious charisma to a large swath of the country. I don't think it's in our best interest to ignore that from a strategy perspective. No, we have to understand why he's so popular, why he speaks to certain people in the way that he does in order to properly counter him and in order to provide an alternative that's also appealing to people, which is what went wrong horribly in 2016, specifically when the Democrats put up Hillary Clinton, who was this embodiment of elitism and out of touch kind of liberal, coastal liberalism, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's really important to understand why people like Trump. That's a mistake that a lot of liberals make. They actually don't understand, or they don't let themselves acknowledge the fact that Trump is very charismatic, that he is very funny. Sometimes when you will talk to someone who's just only been watching MSNBC and reading the New York Times for the last 4 years, you'll say, yeah, Trump's pretty funny, right? And they'll look at you like, what do you mean? Like, he's this horrible monster. He's a rapist. He's a war criminal. It's like, yes, all of those things are true, but we have to understand, we have to acknowledge the fact and grapple with the fact that, yeah, the dude has comedic chops. The dude is charismatic. And unfortunately, thanks to the celebrity culture that we all live in, that's a big part of the battle as far as a presidential campaign is concerned. Just being confident, charismatic, likable, funny. That stuff matters a lot, and we can't just ignore it or pretend it's not the reality.
Also, all of those people are going to be like, guys, I know that Biden has done a lot of really bad things. Okay. But let's just not talk about those for a little while. Okay. Let's talk about the bad things other people have done. Okay. Like, and it's just like, what are you talking about, bro? It's like, well, we can't have Donald Trump because he's a sexual villain. Oh, yeah. Well, I got a laundry list of complaints about Joe Biden. I got a buckload of photographs that make him look bad. Okay. Yep. I've also got the 94 omnibus crime bill. I've got him eulogizing Strom Thurmond as his good friend. I've got him posing busing. I've got him talking about how he doesn't want to see his children's school turned into a racialized jungle. I've got him saying all kinds of shit, that he'd cut anything in the government, any entitlement, any single spending in the solitary government. That's Republican talking points. Okay, 100%. He opposed the Hyde Amendment until he basically goddamn had to support it because Obama was like, bro, what the fuck? You have to change your position on that. Okay, fine. Now I support the Hyde Amendment, but I don't believe in abortions. Fine. Okay, laundry list of things there. This dude was not, an ally to anybody during the financial crash when he served as Obama stooge. A lot of people give him a free pass for just standing idly by while Barack Obama did all of his heinous shit, but you could easily apply all of that to Biden. He was there to, stand around and lick ice cream cones and, be a photo op for 8 years. We're supposed to let all of that slide, that laundry list. How about the fact that he lied on the campaign trail about his graduation record? How about the fact that, he plagiarized speeches? None of that's up for debate, but we can't talk, because Donald Trump is so bad. Because Donald Trump is so bad. No, Donald Trump is just a fucking idiot, okay? He's a fucking idiot. He's selfish, and he's the definition of a Nepo baby. Okay, he can only accomplish what is beneficial to him, and most of the time beneficial to him eating cheeseburgers and watching Fox News about himself. Okay, so he's really not as dangerous as some of these other fucks that actually have an ideology beyond me. Okay,
that's a great point.
Yeah, so that's my analysis of the situation. That's why I think it's just make a mockery of Donald Trump. Do you not think for half a second that Gavin and I would not be ready to like fucking sing from the top of churches if there was a candidate in the Democratic primary that could get on the debate stage with Donald Trump and just rip him to fucking shreds? I would love to see Marianne do it. I would love to see Marianne be able to stand across from Donald Trump and like shred him. We've long talked. I would love to somebody like Fetterman or Ventura. Like Fetterman sucks kind of. I'm sorry to say that guy went the wrong way, just like the rest of them. And we crossed our fingers, but man, it is what it is. He wouldn't even co-sponsor Medicare for all. So
what a disgrace.
Yeah. But anyway, somebody that could just fucking humiliate him. And I actually think that Marianne would be in a unique position to do so because she would do it in a way where she's not, I think Marianne's like 5'5", something like that. She's not a 5'4", maybe. She's not a tall lady at all. But she carries herself really, and I just think the juxtaposition of that could be powerful. It's never, I don't think that there's going to be a situation where Donald Trump and Marianne somehow like square off unless she's able to pull out a fucking W in the primary, which unfortunately, I would hope for, but I don't foresee. That's why we have to just fucking savagely mock Donald Trump ourselves and also enjoy the savage mockery that Donald Trump is doing unto others.
Yep, that is the one great thing about Donald Trump is that oftentimes he takes down a lot of Republican candidates, a lot of just disgusting garbage monsters in the process of, gaining power himself or attempting to. I mean, Ted Cruz, much like Ron DeSantis, we have to remember, was viewed as this darling of the conservative movement. He was considered this smart, whip smart, constitutional lawyer and all, like a really intimidating force in the Republican Party. Donald Trump made a fucking mockery of Ted Cruz, and it's never been the same for him. I'm not saying he doesn't have a base of support. Obviously, unfortunately, the guy still does. But I do think that in the same way that Ron DeSantis lost a lot of that shine after Trump just made him look like a fucking idiot, I think that the same thing happened to Ted Cruz. And like I said, that's good. It's good to take these guys down a notch. And especially DeSantis, who's particularly insidious. That being said, I want to get into David Doel's response here to Sahil, because I have somewhat mixed feelings about what David says. I think he's partially correct, but I'm not quite as certain as he seems to be here. Either way, David Doel responds to Sahil. And by the way, David Doel and Sahil have had a really good relationship up until this point. I'm sure they still do, despite this minor, disagreement on Twitter. But Sahil has had David Doel on his show many times. I know they have a really friendly rapport and relationship. So I thought it was kind of funny that Doel just came out here and says, bro, what? LOL. Trump winning over DeSantis in a primary is objectively a better outcome. Trump absolutely has a worse chance against Biden than DeSantis does because there's already a built-in anti-Trump vote for a general election. And what Trump is doing to DeSantis is hilarious. And that's objectively true. I don't think that can be denied, despite how much people like Sahil want to do so. Trump is obvious. What he's doing to DeSantis is, just undeniably fucking hilarious wherever you fall ideologically. But I am really interested, Zach, what you think about the first part of David Doel's tweet. Do you agree with him that Trump beating DeSantis in a primary is a better outcome if you want the Democrats to win?
It's tough, bro. It's tough. I don't know. I don't actually think so. I think I actually disagree with him here. I think that DeSantis doesn't have a big enough base and a draw. So I get that he's the guy. He would be the guy. He would have an advantage that he's the guy that nobody's had the opportunity to vote for yet at a presidential level, right? Nobody has been able to walk into general election, presidential race and just punch a ticket for Ron DeSantis. So that does give him a leg up. But you got to think about the fucking base, the fucking powerhouse of people that Donald Trump will be able to bring out, in contrast to the number of people that Joe Biden will bring out. I think a lot of the hardcore anti-Trump people will also be hardcore anti-DeSantis people, given everything that Ron DeSantis stands for is horrible. And typically there is an overlap of the people who love Ron DeSantis. It's because they feel like Donald Trump knighted him, and now he's the king, the Kingsman of Florida or something about that. And it is true that people it's funny. I was talking to Salisa the other day. She was in LA and she was getting drinks with one of her friends, and that friend had brought somebody along from Florida. And she made a joke about Ron DeSantis, and the person was like, no, we all love Ron. Oh, Ron is the best. We love Ron. And so Lisa was like, okay, well, now I'm extremely suspicious of this person. But what the fuck? Here's a 25-year-old person that's talking about how much people love. So I get it. He does have some base in Florida. I just think that you're going to turn around and find out that 95% of the people that love Ron DeSantis, they love Trump more. And I think we've already learned from past elections that having a fucking rabid base of people that are fucking stoked to come out for you, it's going to be a big deal. It's going to be a big deal, guys. And I know everybody's like, Biden beat him once, you can do it again. Biden looks bad now. Have you guys seen the video of him just falling for no fucking reason? I know Sagar was quick to react to that guy over on Breaking Points. If you guys haven't seen it, you can check it out. He just falls the fuck down. And on top of that, there is no COVID. And also he didn't return us to normalcy, guys. Unfortunately, he fucked himself by being so absent from any kind of intervention that now, guess what, guys? Groceries are more expensive than when Donald Trump was president, right? People talk about that shit all the time. And why is it? Oh, it's because of fucking, transportation. It's because of corporate greed, like we talked about with the eggs. Okay, all this kind of stuff is happening, and he is not doing a goddamn thing about it. Well, people are going to be like, well, I do remember when Trump was president, at least X, Y, and Z would change. And that was because a lot of that is pre-COVID and how much the economy's changed after COVID. And remember how desperately people wanted something different than Trump during COVID and in the immediate wake of it. But now, at least what I hear anecdotally from people is well, when Trump was president, we got some stimulus checks, and Biden only gave us $600, and he said he was going to give us more, or $1,400, whatever. You know what I'm talking about? Shorted everybody $600, talked about $2,000 checks, everybody, whatever, $1,400, whatever it was.
Right.
I think that all of that people talk about, and I think that Trump has a way better chance of beating Biden. I just do. So I disagree with David here, but
I have mixed feelings about it all, man. I really do, because I think you're 100% correct that Trump has a much more enthusiastic base than DeSantis. But I think that DeSantis has a much better chance of just scoring normies that are at this point never going to vote for Trump again because of the chaos that he's associated with, because of January 6th, because of just the, belligerence of him, the rudeness, the rape conviction, stuff like that kind of makes normal people go, like, I don't know about that guy. If you're not kind of a extremist, you might not want to be associated with him, versus DeSantis, people that aren't super political but tend to kind of trend conservative might have a easier time voting for him. And a lot of normies do vote. It's not just the people that are most engaged in politics. It's not just like the, really online kind of people. And that was proven, at least on the Democratic side, by the fact that Biden was able to squeak it out against Bernie, despite, having none of the enthusiasm around him online or on the ground. I mean, no one showed up to his rallies, but because of the fact that mainstream media pushed him and the normies kind of thought he was palatable and familiar, they pulled the lever for him anyway. So in the same way, I could see DeSantis kind of tapping into that effect in a general election against Biden and just winning over some normies who are dissatisfied with the status quo under Joe Biden. But I also think it's very important what you're saying, Zach, about Trump's base. And that is completely undeniable. I think ultimately, in my opinion, it's kind of a wash as to which one would be more beatable by Joe Biden. I think, like I said, Trump gets the base, DeSantis gets the normies, and ultimately it's kind of a wash for me. I think either way, whichever one isn't the nominee, it's probably about a 50-50 chance, kind of a coin flip, in my opinion, as to who wins that election, because Biden does still have the incumbency advantage, which is, statistically a likely indicator of a re-election. So there's that, but the dude's also a walking fucking corpse. He can't inspire anyone. And for as uninspiring as DeSantis is on the stump, Joe Biden is probably even more uninspiring. So it's kind of a crapshoot in my opinion, but I definitely get what David Doel is saying here. And I think that he is correct that there is a built-in anti-Trump vote for a general that might not exist for DeSantis. People that wouldn't vote for Trump, but would consider voting for DeSantis because they don't think he's literally going to end American democracy or whatever.
I feel
they
like
just
a lot of those people, though, I feel like a lot of those people are never going to vote for a Republican. I think the people that really fear that Donald Trump is going to end democracy, they're not voting Republican. And all the people, Trump has been so normalized by anybody in the circles of anybody who would ever vote Republican that it's, oh yeah, he was president. No, I disagreed with him on that, but he's way better than Biden, bro. And I hear it a lot, unfortunately.